fair use warning. So, welcome to the AI Life Hacks Club. We're still going to keep the regular cadence. I was saying that there was a little bit of a disruption as far as what platform we were going to use, but we're going to be on Google Meet for the foreseeable future. With that being said, I'm going to post a regular recurring meeting schedule again, and I will also want to ask you guys here. I'm going to do a poll in the group, but I also want an informal poll here. We have a choice right now. When I record these, I post them to my personal YouTube as unlisted, so they're not just out there on the internet, but anybody on the salon can see them. Vicky has asked if we are okay with having these conversations archived in the salon. Like, I can send her the recording, she can upload it as part of the AI Salon's YouTube, which would effectively make it public for anybody who's on YouTube. I don't personally have a problem with that. I don't know if anybody feels strongly one way or the other. I'm seeing thumbs up. We'll put a poll out. I'll talk to Claire when she's back. But we're all about information sharing here, and so now that we can't do it in the salon itself, next best option is to put it into the AI Salon's YouTube channel. So we're talking real estate. I'm curious, Bob.
Can I ask a question before you jump ahead?
Please.
So maybe another option, if it's possible, to have it be like available to the sort of the way you're doing it. You know how you're doing it, where it's private. Is that an option?
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk to Vicky about it. As far as what their plan is with the masterminds, as far as securing that content into the salon. Maybe it is, something that is private and only behind the gated walls of the mastermind. But I just, if we're going to make a change, I want to make sure that I at least had consensus on it. So we'll take that offline. But that's a good question, RJ. But Bob, I throwing it to you because we were talking about Jeannie.
Oh, hi. Yes, Jeannie. Well, I haven't been here for a while, but so you surprised me with that on the YouTube issue. My thought is, wouldn't you still want to get a teaser out into the public sphere to bring more people into the salon? So
thank you for that. We're definitely doing that with all of the LOLs, the learn out louds that we do are going to be open to the community. The AI Salon Presents and the AI Salon Meet and Greet, I believe, are going to continue to be open to the community at large and public. I'm not sure what the direction is on clubs and hubs. I just try to figure out if, who should own the YouTube, the recording, who should manage the recording, if it should come from my personal YouTube or if it should come from the salon's YouTube is what we're trying to figure out. So no worries, Lori. Thanks for stopping by. She's like, you're going to post this on YouTube? I'm out of here. No, but Bob, going back to what we were talking about before with the real estate market, I know you've confused people by saying you're Bob AI Donegan, and that's confused some of your real estate customers. Are you the Jim Ross of real estate? Are you imbibing what you're doing?
No, the market, first of all, the real estate has had the biggest radical shift in its history in the last year because of the NAR and the lawsuits. And so it's a bigger fight to put deals together than I've ever seen. And there's more volatility relative to that. So it's really irritating I'm 60 and I try to get more efficient as I'm getting older. My goal is to do more with less. And unfortunately, it's becoming inversely proportionate because you have to do so much to get anything done. And it's a fight in every direction. So a perfect example is our commission structure was always told that we would know what it is going in. Now we have to go in and negotiate the house and then I have to go in and negotiate my commission at the same time. And that's a very adversarial place to be. And it's a very different thing. It's working out. I mean, whether people liked it or not, the buyers always paid the realtor's 3% fee, which is traditionally what it had been. And there'd always been that in the past. And now because of that, it's changed. I'm still getting paid that, but it's taking a lot more effort to do that. And it's, it takes so much more time for me now to explain how things work. A perfect example, when I would meet with first-time home buyers, it used to be an hour to an hour and a half conversation. And now it's about a week of training, of trying to figure out what's going on, how's it going, because it's such a different, when you have to tell somebody that if they're going to be bidding on a house, it's very likely there's going to be somebody else getting in the same situation if it's a good house. And it's a question of what I call it, how silly do you want to be? Meaning how much over the asking price, if it's a reasonable house, would you be willing to go? And that's really emotionally different. No market that I've ever participated in, and I've been in Columbus for 30 years as a realtor, we've ever seen it where it's been that strong. We're not, in Florida or on the coast at all. So it's very, very different. Now it has slowed down, but it's slowed down primarily because the people that are in their houses right now that have been there with those low interest rates are fighting and kicking, moving. So those people that houses that normally they'd be buying another house and moving up, they're not doing it in the timely manner that they normally would. And I'm seeing it started to trickle out, but everybody was hoping the interest rates truly, if you're asking my opinion, interest rates are not going to ever, they will never, and are not in my life, come back to the degree that it was. And if you really want to know the economy,
Hopefully
really,
not. I mean,
it shouldn't. It didn't do the economy any justice. If you really look at it in terms of historically, when the market was the best and things were really good, it's a 6 or 7% kind of market. But believe it or not, when in 1982, when I bought my first house, I paid 16%, and I was bragging that I bought it down to 13, and it still worked, So it's a very different perspective now to think that people would never see that kind of a fight. And interest rates are dramatically more affected of the pricing of things than inflation or any of this other stuff. It can't keep up with when you double or triple the interest rates, your payments go dramatically different. I mean, and that's where people really don't understand. Literally, the house could be $100,000 less or $100,000 more, but if it's a half the interest rate, the payment could be the same.
Yeah. So if you're two-part question, just because I don't know your world as well as you do, obviously. Are you finding AI tools helpful for navigating those changes in commission structure? Like is your ChatGPT history of like, well, how do I negotiate this on behalf of my client, or is it just kind of like AI is over here and fun and real estate's over here and I'm not,
So originally it was that way. It was all about, I'm going to watch Kyle play at night and figure out. I've been a very early adopter for years. I joined, I embraced the web very, very quickly. And I see where I was beta testing Baird for Gemini's version for Google years ago. A buddy of mine works for Google. And I saw that. The problem with it is, real estate has done, it reminds me of what Spock said. It's still with, bearskin knives and bones. Real estate is very, very, very slow to change. The whole process from building a house hasn't changed for 100 years. And the transactions really haven't changed that dramatically either. So it's difficult for that part of it to change. The things that I use it for that I really like are communication. It allows me to communicate a lot better. So right now, my goal is to develop a digital twin that I can not have to be speaking here for this kind of stuff and be able to send lots of information to YouTube and other channels to make me more efficient than me physically having to do it. I noticed that when I'm talking, if I say an or I can't, the editing and the time. So I've gotten Hey Jen, and it all came out of stuff that I learned from Kyle. And I'm developing these scripts, and the way that I'm using the ChatGPT and also the other large language models is I've gone backwards and looked at a thing called keynotes, where it shows what keywords, where what people are searching for. And then I went backwards and I'm making the topics for the keywords that people are already searching for based upon a parameter. So I can't compete with Zillow, but if I got somebody that's got a 1,500 or more a month, that's about a perfect number to be able to, at least they'll see me. So I'm starting to roll that kind of stuff out. And I just want to do that because it's so much more efficient that way. And I've blown that. I haven't done anything like that. My whole business is predicated on 30 years of doing a good job, and those are the people telling how wonderful I am. But the problem is the referrals don't happen the same way today that they used to. People are very different about how they do things. And it's funny because you also, as you change, like now I have clients, because of the price point that they're in, think they know a lot more just because they can afford a more expensive house. And it is amazing the lack of knowledge that there's a thing called a jumbo loan, where if you borrow more than, depending upon where you're at, between $700,000 and $800,000, you have to pay a more expensive interest rate. And I had a guy, he's a physician, and he didn't believe that was the case. He said, that's unfair. I'm like, I'm sorry. That's just the way that it is, whether you like that or not. And he goes, well, that's not the way that we're going to do it. And I go, well, then you've got to figure out another way. And he didn't like that at all. So, he's really smart, but he doesn't understand some of this stuff. And it's also based upon, in their mind, like it's always like I have clients looking at the $1 million house, and they think that in Columbus, and you can relate to this in Brandon, that used to be like a big deal. And now it's really not. And so I have people thinking that the $1 million house is what they want, but it's really the $1.3 million or $1.4 million house that they really want, because the $1 million house doesn't have the stuff that they really want to have in it. And so it's a really hard discussion to have that, especially since we didn't have those kind of things before. We didn't have a market for that. My average selling price has doubled in the last, it's actually almost tripled in the last 5 years. And it's just a function of the market. And that's different. So, but I enjoy this stuff to no end with the AI, and I'm trying to figure out better ways to use it. I'm waiting for somebody to really make a real way to evaluate houses that is discernible. Zillow certainly isn't that, meaning that if you look at like Zillow estimates, it's amazingly how not correct they are. Okay. And they have to have somebody doing these algorithms, but some of the things that they don't take into consideration that are extremely important are colors, floor plan, elevation, railroad tracks, power lines, main thoroughfares, smells, dogs, things that you could actually teach an AI to evaluate and look at and make a better process, because you have to factor that in. Okay. Like I look at a lot of people's houses that have expired, and I look at what the commonalities, the biggest commonality is that most of those people were not born in the United States, that their house didn't sell because they didn't do the things that would be normally commonly done. And they just thought the market should take care of it. So,
and Valerie and Vicki, welcome to Hacking Real Estate, the Real Estate Life Hacks Club. Vicki, you're on mute.
I thought I'd walked into the business club meeting.
No, we kicked off the call talking about how there's more people than houses in Columbus, and so it's driving the price of housing way high because there's lots of jobs in that market that people are trying to fill. And so kind of kicked off the discussion about how Bob is using AI in the real estate space. I'm really actually surprised. Like TripAdvisor has their little travel genie or whatever it is that you can chat with to help plan your trip. I'm really surprised Zillow or one of the big .coms, apartments.com hasn't come up with like an AI concierge service to help you find your own house. I mean, you could probably code it on Lovable this weekend after yesterday's salon. But it's really fascinating. Like I know that there's so many tools out there that are you could use, like first-time home buyers could use ChatGPT for a litany of things. And I haven't looked we're not in the market for a new house, so I haven't looked at the home buying process from a custom GPT perspective. But Kelly Camp could probably build you a custom GPT that helped first-time home buyers navigate the ins and outs and understanding, inspections and, down payments and,
There would be
whatnot.
certain things, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing my digital AI to prevent the questions. So if you want to know everything, I can send it to my digital twin, and then it can answer those questions. That was because eventually I want to be able to do those kind of things. But one of the things that I did do, which is you're talking about how I use it in real estate. There was a big lawsuit last year, the NAR. It was 290 some pages. Okay. I put it in Notebook LM. Okay. And I let it have that chat. And then 3 of us in my office started using it. And I just plugged it into the computer in a bigger room. And the next thing you know, 20 people sat down for 4 hours and watched it and thought it was an expert. Didn't know. I didn't tell them anything. Okay.
Wow.
They thought this person was just waiting for them to talk to this kind of stuff. So when we were done, no one believed that that wasn't something that I had set up. Okay. So I had to go and do it again. And it was like people watching fire for the first time, that they were looking at me going, what is this thing? And why is it saying that? And I go, and one of my partners is 83, and she just walked right up to it and just like looked at it and said, she was like asking questions like she had to talk to it. It was hysterical because we videotaped it. But she now is embracing this because it answered questions. It had no validity for me. Okay. But it did from this AI because they were experts. They were talking right to her, So I think that's going to be a huge play in the future. The reason why no one has captivated a true, I think, digital AI or any kind of AI for houses is because it's very hard to trap human emotion. Okay. And no matter how logical, how smart you are, I don't care who you are, you still bought your house based on emotion. Whether you like that or not, that really is what it comes down. Because if you didn't like it, you wouldn't have bought it. And people use the word love a lot, which I think is a huge mistake. That's why half the world is divorced. Don't love anything that won't love you back. That's a waste of your love. And a house is a waste of your love. Okay. So find a house that meets at least 70% of what the things that you want in it and be really happy. And that should be your goal, because otherwise you're going to be really frustrated in a lot of things. So sorry.
No, that's great advice.
Bob, why did you say it didn't have any validity? That I'm just wondering what you meant by that.
What part?
Well, you just said that the chat that you created and people watched didn't have any validity for you. So I'm not too sure what you meant by that.
What I'm saying is the best example. I used to be in the pharmaceutical business, and do you know what the definition of an expert doctor was? Anybody that was 50 miles away from you. Okay. So that's how I look at it, meaning that if I'm in the same office and this person has been my partner for 25 years, she's never going to look at me as any kind of an expert. I'm 20 years younger than she is. I don't know anything. I'm a kid. Okay. But this machine had validity because it truly did answer the questions that she was thinking right there. And because it was a woman and a man talking, and then they were going back and forth, she truly was she was convinced for the first hour that there were live people there, Google people sitting there doing this for her. And I'm totally sure, and she's not dumb. Okay. But she just didn't understand any of this. And she was like literally thinking that I was speaking in tongues or something. I go, no, I didn't do any of this. Okay. So what I'm saying is a lot of times that third party credibility really does help a lot, because I would have said the same thing. She wasn't listening to me.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. And, it's an interesting thing that I'm in ChatGPT, and if you're new to ChatGPT, you go to Explore GPTs here, or Explore GPTs, and then you can search for publicly created custom GPTs, which are basically customized versions of ChatGPT. And one of the early experiences that I thought, oh man, this is going to be all over the place. Like Honda is going to have a custom GPT that you search for Honda, you get Hand to Uncle, an Indian personal finance guide, Rhonda J's prompt variation generator. There's nothing about, there's a CRV model from 2001 because somebody ragged or uploaded the instruction manual. It blows my mind, and I feel like it's coming probably in the next 12 to 18 months. There's the marketing opportunity, the captive audience that's here. It's a smaller audience of the people who know about custom GPTs and use custom GPTs. But if I trust that as a source and I'm looking for real estate help, why not use Bob's digital twin for real estate. There is a real estate. I just did a search for real estate as you guys were talking, and there is a real estate. I can't tell if it's a helper for it's a realtor assistant. I don't know. It's a real estate deep dive expert. So I don't know if that's helping the real estate agent or helping a homeowner or a buyer or seller. But it has over 10,000 views coming up here. But then it drops off pretty quickly. Like you've got a handful here, like real estate, investing in real estate. But after that first page, if we go to see more, most of these don't have anywhere near. You get down to the hundreds and 20s pretty quick. I still see the custom GPT store, we use the term loosely, as a huge untapped market for brand share and the capability of captivating an audience who's already leaning in on digital transformation. Yeah, Jeannie.
That's a really good point. I was listening to Bob and at the same time Googling the average house in Columbus, Ohio, and at the same time looking for a 1,400 square foot house that's around $300,000 in Columbus, Ohio, and then looking for a real estate agent at Keller Williams, which is his company. And his name did not come up, but ChatGPT did go out and look at LinkedIn and gave me a real estate name and phone number. And as you're talking about GPTs for marketing, wow, would it be a good idea to have Bob the Realtor have his own GPT by name? And then inside of that GPT, Bob the Realtor put in the area that he services, the typical home prices, the typical square footage or more, give it a set of parameters. So anything, 1,000 square foot up to 2,500 square feet in Columbus, within 10 miles of the river or something, or whatever he wanted to do. Then put a link to that on his LinkedIn. I'm wondering if we would be able to find him just by searching with ChatGPT.
I didn't even think about this. The search engine optimization component of having a custom GPT with your name on it. Bob, there you go.
Yeah, SEO right there.
That's why I'm here.
And we can figure out if the Keller Williams Invitational is right or innovation is right for me. So anyway, I think that there's so much untapped potential there in terms of the custom GPTs. What else is going on? Who else has some hacking that they've been doing through their life? I've got something to share, but I figure I always like to open it up to the floor first, if in case anybody has anything.
Well, I've been doing car buying with AI. That's helped a lot. Figure out all the different car issues and how to pick the right car. So yeah, that's been very helpful.
Bob, what you're doing for real estate, my brother-in-law in Columbus is doing. He works at Roush Honda in Westerville. He's Lisi, the Honda guy, and I have been needling him for over a year now that he needs to capitalize on that brand and have an Instagram avatar and have a ChatGPT persona. And he's kind of leaning on what the industry is doing and what Honda is doing globally to drive traffic. Plus, he's busier than I'll get up. He can't take the new business, but it's a very good problem to have. But I still think that using it for research, be it when you're in that buying phase, be it looking for a new car, looking for a new house, those big ticket purchases come with a lot of research. I think RJ said it best. You're trying to figure out what car is right for you. If you don't know the difference between a Ford or a Honda, and which one's going to have a tariff price hack on it versus which one's going to keep you safe in a rollover. Everybody is looking at different things, but I think much like a house, you buy a car on emotion first, and then safety and price second and third. It's coming from the world of sales and marketing and advertising, developing that relationship and developing that persona as the person of trust in that relationship. Our realtor here in Cleveland, who has sold us, 3 houses now, I would like, she knows what she's doing. Like I trust her. In fact, like she's the first call that I make. She's the first referral I make in this area anyway, because I just trust that she's going to get it done. And so I think that, as more of these AI tools become hyper localized and hyper personalized, being involved, being that go-to brand name for your industry in those AI spaces is going to become so important. My dog says hi. It's not as good as Champy singing, but
I had to go outside to quiet mine down. I have a question for you. I'm trying to look at different software for compiling. There's a company called High Level where you can do websites, you can do CMAs. Vicky shaking your head. I'm just learning about this stuff. I'm trying to get away from the corporate stuff to be able to do my own stuff. And I want to be able to have more control over that. Anybody have experience with High Level? Please speak up. Tell me what you think.
I know a lot of people that use it. I just have never used it myself. I just haven't had a need to use it, I guess.
Well, it does a bunch of different things that I pay different companies to do. And I think that would be a way to be able to control what I have. And it's fairly it seems to be very cost effective, but I want to make sure it works. That's a big part of it.
Yeah,
I have little understanding of it. I've used it a little bit. It's everything that you think that it should be. And with AI now, it's one of the most robust pieces of platform for communicating with clients out there. And it would be a great idea for someone like you to take a class on it, in my opinion.
Well, I don't see a lot of classes. In fact, it wasn't very real estate specific. It was really most of the stuff I saw was because it was about how to sell other things to other people. So that gave you that platform to be able to charge services and do other things that way. But it could do a lot. And it seems like it's pretty robust.
Yeah. I think that we're kind of leaning, double clicking in on business, not to steal Kelly's thunder. But it really does overlap, as you're trying to figure out how to hack life, whether it's your personal life or your business life, AI is kind of permeating and bleeding between those lines. The Venn diagram is basically a circle at this point, of where you can use AI and how you can use AI to help you in business and in personal life and in education. And that's something that I wanted to share here. We'll take a quick detour down to a platform I discovered earlier today. And I have very little experience with this platform such far, but it's called Study Fetch, and it's free to a point. I haven't hit they haven't upgraded like a premium version that's $80 a year or $20 a month, because everything's $20 a month in the AI economy. They are very nondescript as far as what you get free versus what you get. They tell you what you get for the premium, but they don't tell you what you don't get for free. So I'm just kind of playing with it right now. I signed up for a free account, but it can do a lot of different study aid things. So it can do flashcards using AI, a live lecture, can create quizzes for you. It can help tutor you. So it's an educational tool. But what caught my eye was it has this arcade game where you type a topic to learn and you type a type of game that you want to play, give it a stylization, and then it'll just create a game for you to play, and it'll quiz you game style on like multiple choice questions. So for example, if I wanted to learn about artificial intelligence and I wanted to do it as a city run game in outer space, and I say create game, it's going to do its thing, and then it's going to come back with a game that I can play, and it's going to teach me about artificial intelligence. And then you can see games that other people have created. So if you want to learn about the revolutionary Swiftie quiz, this thing's had over 1,500 plays since it was stood up 2 months ago. And it's free to play around with it, but they also have different things like audio recap, which sounds like a Notebook LM style feature, but you can really give it, if you don't want to enter a topic and have it go out and search, you could give it a PDF, you could give it a YouTube link, you could give it something that you have, a piece of content that you have that you want to learn about. If this is your learning style in the gamification of it, then it is just another way to learn about a new topic. If the podcasting style isn't your cup of tea, this is a new and novel way that I think we can see people playing and learning with AI, and whether you're in school or you're just trying to learn a new topic for work. So I'm going to do slow motion time for questions. And so I've got my dog here. I don't know why this is space themed, because it's the dog running through a street, so it missed that. But it comes up here. What is the Turing test? It's an AI intelligence test. And you can move your dog back and forth. You've got to jump over the cars and things, and you got 3 lives. So, you could spend a day coding this in Lovable. I guess I should be reading these. But I don't know, it's fun, free. And if you're looking to learn something, you're looking to teach your kids something and want to engage them versus just flashcards, machine learning. It's a cool experience. And I can share this in the AI Life Hacks Club. So just one of those cool little tools that I found. Destroy the world. You can make money with ChatGPT. I thought that was the right answer. So yeah, I think just playing and getting out there and seeing. So, all right, game over. We share this. Copy link. So yeah, that was just something I found that was kind of neat. Any questions? Anybody want to see something else?
Hey, Brandon.
Yeah.
Earlier in the week, maybe it was last week. When was it? We did the prompt for finding your crack.
Oh yeah, between the cracks. Mm-hmm.
I'm still using that. It is so it's really cool because now I have so much about me out there that it knows that
Mm-hmm.
it really it's amazing. It actually changed how I really kind of look at things today.
Yeah, and if you've missed that, it is a prompt that you put into ChatGPT, and it says, "Tell me something that's between the cracks of the conversations that we've had. Tell me something about me that's between the cracks of the conversation that we have." And it has the ability to really kind of psychoanalyze you and tell you something about you, give you a perspective on yourself that you didn't coming at it from a third-party perspective or a different perspective. Oh, and Vicky posted the prompt in the chat. Thank you, Vicky.
Oops.
Bob, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was going to post it too.
So yeah,
Did you know that
what's that?
I'm sorry. No, it was my phone opened on a screen with noise on it that it shouldn't have opened.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I haven't been to one of these meetings before, but I work for a public utility. We provide power and water, and AI right now is in one of those spaces where everybody wants to do it, but they're really scared to do it. Right now, using AI in business, we have a lot of our stuff through Microsoft. So there's Copilot, but anything that we get, any pictures we create or any documentation that we create using any of the AI has to be proofed by, our dig group, data analysis group.
Yeah.
And we have several program or software developments that are huge. Currently, our mainframe is SAP, and we have to upgrade. And contracts is one of those things where contractors or vendors will not do work unless you place in their contract that you cannot use, if we have AI, we cannot use AI to replace jobs. So right now, that's a big thing. I just wanted to state that as far as work. But my idea mostly for working specifically is when we have process, especially with change management and stuff, we always document it, but the documents are everywhere. And my idea would be to create some kind of somewhat like a digital twin, but for that documentation, so that you can go in and just ask your questions, where is this enhancement? Where is this integration? And it just comes back to you without having to go through all of these documents over and over and over again. And I think that's one of the things that we may get to, and that's what I'm hoping for as far as that goes. At home, I underutilize it completely, but I use it for everything. It's my Google, it's my manual for anything I'm doing, whether it's on the computer or carrying a vacuum apart or anything. I just go in and ask the question. I usually get a pretty good answer.
Yeah, it is amazing. It's good to know that they're at least trying to build in some protection for the jobs at the public utility level. That's great. And as far as the home use, that's really what this. And thank you for coming, by the way. Thank you for joining us for this. I call it, we're the kind of the potpourri or the catch-all bucket for the clubs and hubs, because we don't really fit into any one particular bucket. There a couple of weeks ago we were talking about gardening, and this week we're talking about real estate. It is just it kind of ebbs and flows with whoever comes in and is willing to share. There's always one or two tidbits that come out of that, out of the call, and we're fortunately, as of right now, we're not in the market for a house, but candidly, we are, being in Cleveland and under the current climate, we are looking at, what would life look like if we moved to Canada, if we needed to move to Canada? What are the visa process look like? And leveraging AI, not just to do a quick Google search, but also to do some deep research into those processes. And I don't know, Valerie, if you've played around with the deep research tools that are coming out now that are starting to reach the free levels, but Gemini Deep Research, I asked it one question and it wrote me a 41-page white paper, and then did a Notebook LM style podcast to review it. It's really helped augment my day-to-day life when I'm trying to learn something new, and just research something about the house. And we had a moment today. We were coming home from a function with the kids, and my son was asking, why is fall called fall? And I said, well, because everything's falling off the trees. And then he goes, okay, well, why is winter winter? Like, I don't know. And my daughter, without skipping a beat, goes, Dad, why don't you just ask ChatGPT? And she's 7. And so if you're Google and you hear that, you're like, man, we're losing our market share. Because Google it became a verb, over the past 20 years. And now the mindset is shifting that we're gonna ask ChatGPT. It's becoming a household name to the households that know it. I love that tapestry behind you, by the way.
Oh, thank you. So what I was going to say about Googling it versus chat, I mean, almost everything, if I want the details, if I want the written thing, I mean, you ask chat, you get it. You get it like you've asked the know-it-all friend that you have that you always ask, right? The only thing that I use Google for is sometimes you want to Google something and get that immediate picture. You want to get the words and the picture at the same time, just like what
Oh,
Google
yeah.
does, right? And so, but most of the time I chat it, I don't, if I
Yep.
just
Put it in
want
the
the
chat hole,
answer.
as Kyle says.
Yep. Yep. Well, I named my chat GPT Chet so that it, so I just asked
That's
Chet.
good.
I just asked Chet. Hey.
My kids named ours Circuit.
Yeah, so recently, so I'm at my dad's house and he had a PC that, was what, Windows 6 or whatever it was back in
Yeah.
the day. So I went and got him a laptop, but it was a Chromebook, and it didn't look the same, of course. And so Chat actually helped me set it up so that it looked very much like his PC. It acts like his PC. It looks like his PC.
Wow.
So yeah, it's like the best friend that always knows all the answers. You can just ask him.
Yeah. My and similarly, my parents got a in Cleveland, the Guardians, the baseball team, is fighting with all of the television networks, so they have their own separate thing that you have to download the MLB app and you have to pay a separate subscription, and it's so annoying. But my parents really like watching the baseball game, so I got them a Chromecast, or I had an old streaming stick that I gave them, and I thought I had trained them on it and I had set it all up and I left. And then they called me like an hour later, like, okay, how do I do this? How do I get it to change back to the signal to the TV? And I'm like, okay, chat, I need you to explain this to my 70-year-old technophobic most novice, like be as descriptive and as patient as possible and over explain yourself. And it gave me, I gave them the brand of the TV and the brand of the remote, and it gave me verbatim, step by step, like even more so than I would have thought, being patient and trying to explain to my parents, like, okay, you'll see a box in the upper left-hand corner. Click this arrow. You'll find that arrow to the left of the power button. And it's like, wow, this is like a translator for like my parents who are terrified of technology, and they was able to walk them through it to the point where they were able to do it themselves without me having to turn around and drive back over there and just to change the HDMI 1 to HDMI 2. So,
Yeah, I think it's amazing because my age group, I've been always used to one product doing one thing, right? So you download an app, it does one good thing. The thing about Chat is it's good at everything. It can make tables, it can make pictures, it can tell you how to do stuff. It can make you talk nice to you if that's what you're wanting to do. It can do whatever you want to do on it. The only thing it can't do is anything physical, at least yet.
not yet, but the robots are coming.
Yeah.
I want a robot. That's what I want for my birthday in 3 years. A robot to load the dishwasher. Yeah, it's so true. I saw somebody on TikTok that was saying that Gen X is the only generation that actually knows how to use a computer. Because we had to train our parents how to use it, and now we have to train our kids how to use it. We're the only ones that actually learned how to use it. Figured it out for ourselves. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for coming today. I hear the caravan of chaos pulling into the garage. So it's probably a good time to break before everybody comes running in here. We will be back 2 weeks from today, the 21st, the day after the AI Salon meet and greet. Public service note, it is Kyle's birthday today, his big 6-0. So it'll be a very special AI learning lab tonight. So if you're around for that, that's supposed to get started here in about an hour and a half. If you do have any questions or life hacks, feel free to drop them in the channel, in the salon. And we'll see you guys all next time. Vicky, if you could hang out 1 second with RJ, that would be great. But everyone else, thanks so much.
Thanks, Brandon. Bye, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.